First of all, Steve, as you will say on the sheet here, Chief Executive of National Grid, Responsible Business of the Year for Business in the Community, Vice Chair of Business in the Community, and chairs our Talent and Skills Leadership Team. So perhaps starting with that subject, an awful lot of conversation out there about the search for talent, the frustration around it all, and coupled with the fact that we've got almost 1 million young people out of school and out of work. What do we do about all that?
I think there's a lot going on. If I'll draw your attention to the three bubbles in many ways, because the question behind, for lots of businesses, how do we grow, is all about how do we make sure we've got bright, inquisitive, creative people for the future. And there's a lot going on, so I can always stand up and moan about all the things that still need to be done in this country. There's a huge amount going on. And Careers Lab is now being hosted by business in the community, facilitating the joining up of business people going in and talking to young children about the skills that business really needs. The multiple opportunities of how to get in the workplace is a big piece of that. I think all of the work that Paul's team have done really on getting businesses and the educationally into schools as well, we're making a real difference. So there's a long way to go still, but we should celebrate the success that is already happening here on that one.
We've got thousands of business leaders out there working in multiple schools, touching so many, the attitudes and aspirations of so many young people along the way. It's really an exciting space.
I think the other thing I'd add as well is, many people here I'm sure have heard of Step Up to Serve. I think that's a fantastic opportunity as well, when businesses often complain about some of the other skills that children come out of education without at the moment. There's really clear evidence that anyone who's been involved in their local community in some way where they're serving creates a different skill set actually. So having that on your recruitment agenda of people who've done some actual work as a volunteer during their youth, give them a fast track straight through to jobs.
So we work with helping raise the aspirations of young people in schools, helping employers think about how they can find talent in perhaps unexpected places, and weed out some of those unintended consequences of overly automated recruitment systems. Now, change subject slightly, sustainability. Probably the biggest issue we face as society, although you wouldn't think so if you watch the US election debates going on right now. You're in the energy business. This is an issue near and dear to your heart. Where do you stand on this whole sustainability agenda?
This is probably where I do start to rant and moan a little bit, because it is back to the question of how do you matter in business. And yeah, you're absolutely right. As far as my business is concerned, we sit at a very exciting place at part of one of the world's greatest problems. How do we make sure we've all got clean, reliable, affordable energy into the future? That's one of the greatest issues of the 21st century. But sustainability is a word, and here's my rant, that is just so disabused, it really is. It means so many different things to different people. And for this movement, the opportunity to talk about it in, I think, a broader way, about how do we sustain successful businesses long into the future. And that gets back to one of the issues that we certainly discussed at a previous BITC event, is how do we move investors, as you were mentioning, Stephen, away from real short-termism and think about, are businesses doing things that are going to create long-term prosperity for their businesses, their customers and their shareholders. So I was very pleased that when they allowed us to stop actually putting out a quarterly report recently, we could be one of the first companies to say, we're not going to do that anymore. That's fueling short-termism. It doesn't really reflect the things that we're doing about the long-term success of the business.
Real leadership. Well done. Now, you are BITC's Responsible Business of the Year this year and sponsoring today's event. So thank you very much for that. And we will maybe talk about the Albert Hall in a moment. But how has it been for you, and how have your staff engaged in all of this? What do they think?
Well, that's the last little badge up there. It's about connection, because, of course, very proud, very surprised to get the award of Business of the Year in that sense. But the biggest opportunity for us has been to use it to engage and connect with our employees, and to try and convince of the 27,000 across the UK and the US, those that are not connected into their communities today, to get connected. I mean, I have an ambition that every single one of our employees does something, however small, however big, they're connected into their communities. Today, we've got 15% of our employees, so I think statistically that's pretty large, but it also means there's thousands of people who could just do more. That's the opportunity for us to use this just to inspire all of our employees to get really connected.
And well done, you've been very proactive with the badges and the various bits out there in your various receptions, even on your delivery vehicles. So thank you for getting the branding out there. Final question, Stephen, is we talk about this being the Prince of Wales' 30th anniversary as president of business in the community. And as we begin to think about the award season coming up and some of the other activities that are underway, how will that factor into your thinking over the next 6 months or so?
Well, I don't know whether everybody here knows, whenever you get awarded the mantle of Responsible Business of the Year, there's a momentary celebration, and then there's a momentary, and that means you're paying for the gala dinner next year. Moment. So I'm not going to give anything away in terms of what we're going to do, other than the fact I do think in the 30th year, it's an enormous opportunity, and hopefully everyone will come to the gala dinner just to celebrate the good things that businesses are doing. When you go through the awards, I mean, it's always, I'm sure anyone who's there, just inspiring what some companies are doing. And inspiring to me the fact that the cross-section of organisations, from really small organisations, making a huge difference in their communities. It's a fantastic event. And I'm also reminded, I think 30 years ago when I was quite young, and thinking about a career in business, I had no conception, no notion of either the opportunity or in fact the obligation that business had in its interaction with society. I hope through this movement and others we can use this anniversary in particular to make sure that the young people that are coming into business today aren't as naive and as ill-educated as I was about those two things really, the enormous opportunity that we all have in business, but what goes with that is an obligation, actually, and to make sure that when we think 30 years ahead, the relationship, as indeed that film shows, between business and our communities, our customers, all of us, is very different than that existed before the Prince of Wales actually lit the spark to this movement 30 years ago.
Yeah, well, Stephen, brilliant. Thank you very much. You are an exemplar company. You have shown real leadership in this space. You've also been a great friend to the business and the community movement and to me. So for all of those things, I thank you very much.